Hello.
Today, we're plunging to some really interesting material. It's excerpts from a resource called Everyday English for Relationships and Sales.
Right. Quite the combination.
Exactly. And our mission really is to explore how English works in these two, very different worlds, personal relationships and the world of sales.
We'll be pulling out key phrases, looking at, maybe some surprising insights from this material.
Yeah, because understanding the context, how language shifts between these areas is just so crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. The same phrase can land completely differently depending on who you're talking to. It really highlights the importance of context.
It does. And knowing that helps you actually communicate better in real life.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in.
Okay.
The first part of the material focuses on relationships, specifically a dialogue between a couple. They're talking about apologies, the state of their relationship.
Mm-hmm. And one of the first things the source points out is this distinction between to love someone and to be in love with someone.
Yes. That's a big one in English.
It is. The material says to be in love with someone is really specific to those strong romantic feelings, for a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife.
That romantic attachment.
Exactly.
Right.
Whereas to love, that's much broader, isn't it?
Right. The source mentions loving family, parents. You love your brother, you love your dog, maybe.
But you wouldn't typically say you're in love with them in that romantic sense. So it marks that specific kind of intense feeling.
Got it. Okay, then there's this phrase. Seems simple enough. Can we talk?
Oh, boy. Yeah, the dialogue in the source material makes it pretty clear this usually isn't about, asking if they like your new shirt.
No. It's sort of the classic signal for a serious conversation.
You're right.
Often implies something difficult. Maybe even bad news is coming.
Definitely. If you hear that, your antenna goes up, you brace yourself a little.
It's interesting how just 3 simple words get loaded with so much meaning based on the context.
And that leads into another example from the dialogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This one's all about tone, isn't it?
Completely. It can be just a statement, like confirming, understanding. It was so hot today. You know what I mean? We both get it.
Right. Shared experience.
But then change the tone slightly, maybe add a little upward inflection. You know what I mean? And it becomes a question.
Checking if the other person is following your thought or understands your feeling.
Exactly. The source gives examples like being really tired or maybe not liking someone's friends or trying to explain confusing instructions from a professor.
And then you tag on that, you know what I mean? To see if they're with you.
Precisely. It shows how much communication relies on how we say things.
Definitely. The material also digs into phrases about the relationship's journey, like looking ahead or looking back.
Right, like asking where this relationship is going.
Which is clearly about the future, the direction, the status.
And the source points out that structure is pretty flexible. You can ask where your career is going or where this movie plot is going.
Or even where a meeting is going.
Yeah, it's asking about the trajectory, the outcome.
And then there's that slightly more ambiguous phrase, often left hanging. Maybe it's just time we.
Ooh, yes. The source presents this as a way to suggest something needs to happen, like now. A change is needed.
And the examples given for how to finish it are quite revealing, aren't they?
They really are. It could be anything from maybe it's just time we break up to maybe it's time we have a baby.
Or even just maybe it's time we go home. It flags a potential turning point or decision.
It certainly sets up a suggestion for a significant next step.
Then looking backwards, the material talks about summarizing the past. Like, we've had our laughs.
Yeah, signifying the good times, the fun moments you've shared.
And there are alternatives offered too.
Right, like we've had our ups and downs, which acknowledges both the good and the bad.
Or we've had our moments. That can mean special times. Or sometimes, good and bad significant events.
And if things have been tough, you might hear, we've had our issues, focusing more on the problems.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Still in relationships, but maybe lighter. Pet names?
Yes, endearments. And the source is clear. These are names for partners, not, for your actual pet hamster.
Good clarification. So what kind of examples does it give?
Well, the standard English ones are there. Baby, honey, sweetheart, darling, sweetie, cutie. Pretty common stuff.
Usual suspects.
But then it also includes some that are maybe a bit more informal or, as the source puts it, potentially cheesy.
Go like what?
Things like smooch, snook, honey bunny, sweetie pie, even Pooh Bear or dumpling.
Dumpling, okay. It definitely shows the playful, sometimes slightly cringy side of couple talk.
It does. And what's really interesting is how the source briefly touches on cultural differences here.
Oh,
Yeah, it mentions a Spanish example, gourd, which apparently means fat, but is used affectionately.
well, okay. Context is everything there.
Right. And a French one, mapo, meaning my flea.
My flea. Fascinating. It really shows how differently cultures express affection through language.
It absolutely does. Makes you think about any unique pet names you've heard, or maybe even use yourself.
It really does. Okay, deep breath. Let's switch contexts completely now.
From the personal to the professional.
Exactly. We're moving into the second part of the material, which features a dialogue from a sales meeting.
And the scene is set pretty quickly. It's urgent. The company needs to, and this is the phrase used, drive sales.
Right, which the material explains just means increase sales.
Yep. Boost sales, get more revenue coming in, standard business talk.
And so they're brainstorming, talking about a possible promotion.
Which, as defined here, is a specific marketing strategy to get sales up, often quickly, like a 2-for-1 deal or cutting prices for a limited time.
Okay, now this meeting dialogue gets interesting when they start throwing ideas around and reacting to them.
Very interesting. Someone suggests lowering prices, and the manager, he shoots it down immediately.
With what phrase?
It'll never fly.
Ouch. Okay, so what does "it'll never fly" mean according to this material?
It's pretty blunt. It means the idea is bad, it won't work, it won't get approved. It's a non-starter.
And the reasons given in the dialogue.
He says it's not creative, and specifically, it won't fly with Mr. Swan, who's the CEO, implying the boss wouldn't approve.
So it's a strong rejection. The source gives other examples too, right?
Yeah, like a super expensive marketing plan might not fly, or trying to sell bikinis in Alaska. That'll never fly.
Okay, got it. Pretty clear idiom.
Definitely. But then, notice the language change when the promotion idea is suggested. The CEO, Mr. Swan, reacts differently.
How so?
He uses phrases like, I kind of like the sound of that, and sounds like something we should consider.
So much more positive, open to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It signals interest, a willingness to explore the idea further.
And eventually he calls it.
Brilliant. He says, that's a brilliant idea.
And brilliant here, the material suggests, just means excellent, a great idea.
Yeah. It notes it might be heard more in British English, perhaps, but in this context, it's clearly high praise. Strong, positive evaluation.
The dialogue also offers a couple of other useful sort of everyday business phrases,
It does, like saying someone will be here any minute.
just meaning they'll arrive very soon.
Right. The source gives examples like the CEO arriving, or a bus, or just someone named Nick. A very natural way to say imminent arrival.
And the verb to consider?
Yes. Used when the manager says they were considering a 2-for-1 offer. The material points out consider is often a slightly more formal or professional way of saying you're thinking about something seriously.
Like giving it real thought.
Exactly. Now, beyond just the vocabulary, what's really striking here is the material's analysis of the manager's behavior in this meeting.
Right. It doesn't hold back, does it? Calls him.
Terrible or bad. A bad manager.
And why? What are the reasons given?
Well, it points out he doesn't really motivate anyone. He cuts people off when they're talking.
Yeah.
And it seems like the employees are kind of scared to speak up or offer ideas because of how he reacts.
That sounds like a pretty tough environment.
It does. And the source uses this to contrast with what makes a good manager.
Which is?
Someone who encourages ideas, supports their team, actually knows people's names, fosters a positive atmosphere where people feel safe contributing.
It really makes you think about workplace dynamics, doesn't it? Yeah. How much communication style and leadership behavior impact everything.
Absolutely. You start reflecting on managers you've had, perhaps. Have you seen these kinds of dynamics, good or bad, play out?
Yeah, it's very relatable for anyone who's worked in a team. So wrapping this up then, we've really journeyed through the language from these excerpts.
We have, from the nuances of relationship talk to the directness sometimes of business communication and sales.
And I think the big takeaway really is just how much the meaning and the impact of even simple words depend on that context. Are you talking to your partner or your boss?
Exactly. Understanding those specific nuances, the implications behind a phrase like, can we talk, or it'll never fly, is just vital for actually connecting and getting things done effectively.
Whether it's building a relationship or building sales, the language has different jobs to do.
It really does. That shared understanding, or sometimes misunderstanding, of these subtle cues shapes so much of our interactions.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about the power dynamics in communication, whether it's that hesitation before asking, can we talk, or the confidence needed to propose a brilliant idea in a meeting, how could becoming more aware of these subtle language cues, the ones we've talked about today, actually empower you in your own conversations, both personal and professional?
That's a great question. How can mastering these nuances help you navigate the situations you face every day? Something definitely worth thinking about.